Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. I was preoccupied. How is everyone today? Okay. I know. I wasn't here Saturday. I get it. I get it. See, what had happened was real talk. So, no doubt, I did lose track of time a little bit. I went over to the grocery store to y'all forgive me 1 second. I do have to take this call. Y'all, I am so sorry about that. Um, had to schedule my ride for my appointment in the morning. Um, okay, so back to what happened Saturday. So I went to the grocery store to get what my daughter needed to cook for dinner Saturday night, and because that's the only full day that we have with her. And y'all, I scared myself. I looked down and I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't put a shirt on, but I do have a shirt on." Y'all, it's been that kind of fantasism that's been going on. But at any rate, I went to the store. When I looked up, I'm like, oh my God, I've only got 15 minutes to get back home and get ready for my life. And I'm rushing and I'm rushing. Hey, my Jamaican mommy. So I'm rushing back home, and there's my hug for you. And when I got back home and I tried to set everything up, all the power went out. And then it came back on. So I was like, okay. And of course, whenever it goes out and comes back on, we have to wait like 10 minutes before everything completely gets back on. So I'm trying again. Now it's like 12:12, and I'm trying to pull everything up. And again, the power went out. So I was like, okay, this time it was out for about 10 minutes. And when it came back on, I looked at it, it was after 12:30, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna have to let this one ride because it's well past the time. So later on that night, the power went out for about a half hour, popped back on for about 2 minutes, and it went back out again. And then it was off for the night. And when I called my neighbor the next day, because sometimes the power goes out, we can't charge our phones or anything. So I'm calling my neighbor and I'm trying to find out. And her daughter is an EMT, so she gets all the tea. And she's like, yeah, there was an accident last night on the road right behind us. Um, the accident actually happened early in the day, but the ramifications from the accident happened later that night. Don't know what happened, but a car hit a pole. I don't know what caused the car to hit the pole. It was the type of situation where the person had to be extracted. It was a successful extraction, and the person was taken to the hospital. Um, but later that night, the pole that he hit failed, took down two other poles. One of those poles hit a house. And then shortly after that, after the lights went out completely at night, we heard pop, 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 pop. So it sounded like a shootout that was traveling. And she said, no, that was actually the power lines popping. And they were popping down as they went. So pretty much all day Saturday, pretty much half the day Sunday, we didn't have lights. I was using my phone sparingly. And yeah. Yeah, because I can eat up the battery of my phone in a couple of hours. So I knew I had to be selective and all that good stuff and keep conversations short. So that's where I was. So, with all of that being said, hello everybody. It is your baby boomer Kitty Lane from the Peninsula in Virginia, back with another Create and Relate. As always, I'm so happy to see you all. We are at that 431 mark, and I'm happy to be there. That's subscribers, of course. If you've not subscribed, please do so. Make sure when you see that notification bell, you hit the one with the dimples so that you always know when I'm dropping fresh new content. As a matter of fact, we got a video coming up at 1:15 for y'all. Yes. And on top of that, if you know anyone who would be interested in my content, please spread the word. By all means, share my videos. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel like you can't leave comments. I read them all and I do get back to you. If you're in the chat with me, if you're in the live with me, I respond to them as I see them. We're a relatively small group. I love the intimacy. I do. But yeah, please just leave me comments. I have those that can, excuse me, I have those that can tell you. Sometimes the comments don't show up right away. They'll show up like maybe a week later, 2 weeks later, but I'm checking on them frequently. So I will get back to you as soon as it lets me know that I have a comment. I don't care if it's from the first video I did or from 20 videos ago. It doesn't matter. I respond to all comments. So please do that. And when you're here, please hit that thumb. I kind of need that. I do. I do. Encourage others to watch. I am still trying right now to get to that 1,500. We're inching closer. I checked last night. We were at 1,475 for viewing hours. And I do need the viewing hours. I need the subscriptions too, but I need the viewing hours. That being said, little nugget. If all of us, regardless of how we feel or whatever, would go to each of our other content creators channels and subscribe, you know where that would put us. If you run across a channel that you're not subscribed to and you just hit that subscribe button, and if everybody that saw yours did the same thing, you know what that would do for us. You know, all of us could be monetized. Did you know? Did you know? And just pick a video a day to watch it. It could happen for all of us, guys. It could. But just a thought. Anyway, I'm happy that you're here. 6. I have half of what I normally have because there was only one pod of espresso left. And there was only enough creamer to facilitate that my daughter left me a cup of coffee. So I am sparingly sipping on my coffee. And that is 10 ounces of espresso, 5 ounces of Cinnabon International Delight, and Sweet Creamery mixed. So that is my preferred drink of the next hour and a half. Of course, I have my water. Absolutely. I have taken my meds today. I didn't eat, but I did take my meds today. Don't fuss at me. Do not come for me, y'all. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Now, even though you're going to see this on the video that's coming out, this is my most recent yarn haul. I purchased a bag from Juan, and it was full of vintage yarns. The only thing that was in that box that you saw that didn't come in the bag was my purple and my Big Twist watermelon. I have a specific project in mind. This is what we have going on. It doesn't look like much for right now, but this has a very significant purpose, meaning to me. And when I saw those colors together and I laid them out in order, it just screamed Betty Boop. Now, when most of us think about Betty Boop, we think about the cute little doll with the black curls, the black pin curls, with the red dress, the big red lips, big beautiful eyes. But I think beyond that. I think of the inspiration of Betty Boop, and her name was Baby Esther. I'm not going to tell you everything about it because I encourage you to go back and research it so that you'll know. But Baby Esther was the influence behind Betty Boop. Even though she did not get full credit, she was a child. She was a child actor. She was a child entertainer. She was pure. Okay. The entertainment bug bit her parents and those around her. So she became slightly tainted. And then a star was born. And all of those involved in her life saw the money. But the money wasn't quite as much as they thought it would be. And Baby Esther hardly saw any. She was put in situations that weren't great. They were not conducive for a child at all. So then came the blues, getting down to a very dark and gloomy area until the violation became, and it sent her spiraling until she ultimately, the last color will be gray, faded out. When I saw those colors spread out like that, the yarn wrote her story to me. This is what it's like to be inspired by yarn. You'll look at something and most of the time we look at yarn and we see a project. We see a shawl, we see a wrap, we see a poncho, we see a blanket, we see baby booties or baby layette. We see these things. I see stories. I see whole stories the more yarn you put in front of me. So I wanted to share that with you. This is where I got with it. I'm using the watermelon as a base color to separate everything. Everything is basically double crochets. I do have some clusters here. Some bobbles here. And the design is meant to show, I don't know if you can really see it or not, but right here is the open curtains and the closed curtains. And then it's the fading out and the bobbles, the questions, the wondering where she is. So it's going from open curtain, closed curtains, disappearance, questions. So that's what the repeat is with this. Um, it's not as big as I thought it was going to be. I looked at the fact that I was going to be repeating. Initially, I was not going to add a background color, but it fit. It fit because ultimately, this was a little girl, guys. It was a little girl. And I was like, that pink. I had my family to choose that. I'm like, okay, you have teal, varsity red, varsity yellow, watermelon, and off-white. Which one do you choose? My granddaughter was like, I don't know. And she's the fashionista. She's the fashionista. So she was like, I don't know. But my grandson and my daughter immediately said pink. They had no idea what I was planning to do with this, where I was planning to go. And I was like, that fits because there's off-white in the colors. There are a lot of blues in the colors. The red, I think, would have been too harsh, you know. There's a yellow, a pretty bright yellow. So I think pink was the natural choice, the obvious choice. I think it was a very good choice of theirs. So I stuck with that. And this is where we are. Can you hear me okay? I know sometimes it gets a little spotty. Absolutely, sis. Absolutely. And welcome in. I'm so glad you're here. There we are. I am so glad you're here. Uh, okay. I tried to change it a little bit. Marsha, did it change any? Is it any better? I know using my phone, I don't get that. But okay. So now you know the story behind my baby Esther blanket. Yes, that's what I named it, baby Esther. Um, what have I made in the dark since Saturday? Good question. So this all kind of blends with Taco Tuesday. Y'all know how I feel about Taco Tuesday. It's Tuesday, and there's only one project that I did not do. One challenge I did not do. I might do it before 6 o'clock tonight, but I need to go over that whole thing before. Uh, that's a lot. These are the colors of my baby Esther blanket. And what it does is follow the life of baby Esther. Um, baby Esther was the influence behind Betty Boop. I love Betty Boop. I love Tinkerbell. I love Tinkerbell more. But I am a big Betty Boop fan. Um, and it just kind of traces her life. The fact that she was pure, how she became tainted by stardom with the people in her life. A star was born. They saw the money. The money wasn't as much as they thought it was, and baby Esther really was not getting any of it. She was a child. Um, and it led her into some places that were not conducive for a child. Then came the blues, and it slipped into a very dark depression, even a harmful situation. And you can just see how heartfelt it was until she eventually faded out. Pink is the background because it was a little girl. A little girl. And this is what I have. I have the curtains opening here. I have the curtains closing here. The missing or the fade out and the questions. And of course, these are going to change colors as they go up. Um, this is my bottom that started here. And we're going up from there. My next color is green, a lighter green. So, yeah, that's what we're working with. Let's see if I can get a little better light. Maybe that's better. I hope that's better. It looks a little more natural. Okay, so our Taco Tuesday for last week was 4 challenges. one that stands, which is pick a whip, any whip, and complete it before the next Taco Tuesday. That was done. I think I was working on this one. So I did complete the green and white scarf. Prior to that, I had made the brown and cream scarf. And after that, I made the blue and white scarf. So you all see I have been busy. And then he spins the wheel, which lets you know how many challenges we're going to have this week. It was 3. Now, with the 3, it was 1 people's choice and 2 pulls from the jar. Our people's choice was spend an hour weaving in ends. This blanket, the whole underside of this blanket was full of this. This is a blanket that I had originally made for myself, had decided I was going to frog it, and I was like, you know what? I like it just like it is. All I did was frog the name across the top. All of the back was full of weave-ins. I got it down to this, and I think one end of one tail here. Make sure. Yeah. So that's all I have left of that. I weaved in, if you didn't notice, all the ends on my scarves. And I had a couple of tails on the hat that I created. So I did a hat too. This was a recent commission. The gentleman wants a hat and scarf. So the hat was completed. The scarf has been started. Of course, you can see the colorway matches that. Yes, y'all, your girl has been busy. Very, very busy. Of course, of course. Um, and then the other challenge, the 2 jar drawing challenges were number 1, make something in warm colors, yellow, orange, and red. So I made a little cozy for my yarn, for my hook holder. I thought that was cute. I made that. And the other challenge I have not done. I have not done. It's make a primary color only make. Red, yellow, and blue. I didn't do it. And part of the reason I didn't do it is legitimate. I have commissions. And when that happens, they take priority. I'll pick a piece to work on in between because I get bored, or I call it project hypnosis. I'll get like so drawn into something that I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing, which usually generates a lot of mistakes. So I'll go to something else. So I started my baby Esther blanket to give me a break with this, which was the second of the 3 commissions. I'm hearing something I'm not supposed to hear. The third is a ruffle hat in the Jamaican flag colors. So it's going to be black, green, and yellow. So your girl has been busy. I've been working it out, y'all. I promise you I have. Okay, and those of you, in case you didn't know, my weight has gone down to 316.4. I'm super, super, super excited about that. We got the scale in my bathrooms working again. and I am back to taking my daily weight. So watching this happen is like, it's exciting to see and to remember, where I came from not so long ago, you know, and to see the progress that has been made makes me feel really good. It makes me feel confident, keep pushing forward. And I love, love, love the support of each and every one of you. My sister Joan keeps me reminded of how proud of me she is, and I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. All of you have really helped me along on this journey, and it feels good. It feels good to do it, first of all. It feels good to believe in myself enough to do it. But then when you have the support system behind you, it makes it that much more valuable. So I gotta put it out there. That is my elephant in the room. I have not seen my Michelle. It's like there's this big void right here. So I'm gonna need my Michelle. And whether like you should catch it on the replay if she's not here, but just to let you know. I mean, what is that, guys? What is that? What? I see that so much looking out my window at these teenagers. I mean, you know, what are you snatching? What are you snatching? Please tell me. Y'all, I got the cues. I did it myself. It's amazing. You see something so much, you imitate it. That is life. That's what we do. Okay, so I got the cutest little joke for you all. And I know you're going to love it because I love it. So, a young lady receives a phone call. She lives like in Pennsylvania or something, far on the East Coast up north. She gets a phone call that she needs to go check on her grandpa. He's doing really weird things. He's talking outside of his neck. And they're the only family that each of them have. So it's close to Thanksgiving. She always goes on Thanksgiving anyway to check on Grandpa. But this time, she's going to go a week early just to make sure he's okay. So when she gets there, she's greeted by Grandpa and his beautiful, massive, like huge, this dog is actually eating her grandpa out of house and home. But as she gets inside and gets comfortable, she realizes what a beautiful relationship they have. And she sees how spotless the house is. One of her concerns, because her grandpa's a fall risk, is that the floors maintain, it's got the hardwood floors, and with him being prone to fall, you don't want it to slip onto it. So the floors were like perfect. And she had to come in and she's like, Grandpa, I was kind of concerned, as always, but your floors look amazing. And he said, clean as cold water can get them. Struck her a little eye, we need cold water. Okay. Then the mind starts reeling and she's like, okay, well, they got Tide cold water and, all these new products that are coming out that you can use cold water and don't have soap. Okay, fine. The dishes and everything, and she's looking at the table and she's like, Grandpa, I have to say I am really, really impressed. I was kind of concerned because I got a phone call from one of your neighbors saying that I really needed to be here. She said, but you got everything looking really, really good. Look at this table. It looks absolutely amazing. He's like, this cold water can get it. So they go ahead on and they have their lunch and everything and, catch up on everything that has happened over the past year. And she's telling him, you know what? Time is getting short. I know that we're not getting any younger. You know that I'm staying at the hotel in the city, and I want to enjoy this extra week that I got here, but you know I'll be here every other day to check on you while I'm here. You got me for 2 weeks this time instead of one. So I won't see you tomorrow, but I will be back day after tomorrow. Okay? And he goes, okay. And she says, what about, I gotta say, I know that, you're getting older and everything, but the place really looked good. She said, one of my concerns, I have to tell you, is that I was worried that even with everything looking as good as it was, that the dishes, I may have to wash the dishes or something before we ate. And he's like, no, they just go work and get them. And she was like, I really love the fact that you're on this co-working. It's like such an energy saver. Conserve the planet. Yes, that's what we got to do. And she said, but one thing before we go, because I'm like really loving on your dog, and you never told me his name. Grandpa goes, come in, cold water. Y'all, I was sitting in a chair when I heard that joke. I just fell over. Excuse me. I just fell completely over. That was funny to me. That may not be as funny to you, but it was funny to me. And that's good enough. So, which leads me to tell you all about a little bit more about my life. You all know that I grew up with a German Shepherd named Rex. His name is Oedipus Rex, after some actor that my mom knew or liked or whatever. But I knew him as Rex, my four-legged brother. And whenever I was out of school or at home and went walking around the neighborhood or whatever, Rex and I did everything together. We were always together. Well, Rex wasn't the only dog in my life. Rex had a father, of course. His father's name was Rusty. Rusty was not nice. Rusty. Rusty was mean. Rusty snapped at me one time, and my mother was not having that. See, Rusty used to be my mother's dog, but Rusty snapped at her baby one time, and Rusty got sold. Rusty got sold. We got sold to a family member. So every now and then, the family would bring Rusty by to see us. So one day Rusty comes over without warning. We always get warnings because our backyard was fenced in. And my grandfather bought me I think it was called a radio flyer, if I remember the name correctly. It wasn't the wagon, it was a car. My granddaddy bought me a little pedal car. And I used to pedal that car all over that backyard. Well, whenever Rusty would come, the family, the cousins, would put Rusty immediately in the gate or in the fence. And I'm riding my little pedal car. And all of a sudden, my mom heard me scream. And that's because Rusty was charging towards me. My mom got, even though I know mom did not hurt him, I never saw Rusty after that. Immediately escorted him outside the fence. So I never saw Rusty after that. I heard about him for a while, but I never saw him after that. But the other dogs that we had, my grandparents got, um, we thought it was a Chihuahua. It wasn't. The breeder dog was called a Feist. They're like slightly oversized. They're like what's the name of that dog? It's a Jack something Terrier. They're kind of like that with Chihuahua features. That's what a Feist is. So we got the Feist. We couldn't think of what to name him. My grandparents left that responsibility up to me and my cousin, my brother, and because we're sharing summer together. So we're sitting here trying to think of a name for this dog. He had the most gorgeous red coat. He had one white streak that went from the top of his head down to like between his shoulder blades. And he was absolutely amazing. He was stunning. Very sweet. Didn't yap a lot. We kept him fed. We walked him all the time. Laws were different back then. You didn't have, it wasn't no such thing as leash law. And but he was so obedient. We walked him like a month using the leash. And then we would test it around the backyard and fence, where he would have to walk beside us and couldn't stray away from us and those types of things. We were always at heels and, come, those types of things. So 2 months go by and this puppy still doesn't have a name. So my cousin and I are sitting on the back porch one day and this puppy's laying on my lap and all of a sudden I start singing. Y'all have been singing forever. And I started singing, little pink paws lay on my lap, little pink paws lay on my lap. And my cousin picked it up and we ran in the house and we're like, Grandma, little pink paws. We're going to name him Little Pink Paws. And my grandmother was like, no. My grandmother was the realest of the real. Yes, she was. She didn't mind telling you like it was. So we go back out, and every night we would sing that to this beautiful puppy, Little Pink Paws, lay on my lap. I don't know who had the dream first, but in the middle of the night, Brian and I both woke up, and we looked at each other. Simultaneously, we both said, Rudolph! And this puppy woke up and came and jumped on, that was my week to sleep on the big bed. He came and jumped on the big bed, and we knew right then that his name was going to be Rudolph. It was so amazing. It amazes me every time I talk to my cousin about how his name came to be, how he came to be Rudolph. Rudolph was with us for a long time. Oh, Rudolph was with us for a very long time. Yeah, Rudolph. I used to tell my mother all the time that Rudolph saved my life when my grandfather, after my grandfather had passed, and my grandmother was having, a lot of medical issues. We brought Rudolph here to Virginia so that my grandmother wouldn't have. She had two dogs, Rudolph and Bruno. Bruno was a shepherd, a German shepherd, and on the way back to Wilson, North Carolina, for the winter break, it was snowing that Christmas, y'all. We left school on the 20th. We left straight from school and headed to Carolina. It cut out like a half hour of our trip. And the heat didn't work in the car. We had a 77 Ford LTD blue. And the heat didn't work in the car. I had a sleeping bag. My mom was driving. She's all wrapped up. Mind you, it's snowing to the point that one of the bridges we crossed, we were driving so slow, I could open the door and run my hand across the top of the street and get snow. But Bruno, being the German Shepherd, being a big dog, I wrapped him up. I put him on the floor around my feet, and I zipped up my sleeping bag. And I was freezing. I was absolutely freezing. Bruno was warm, but Bruno, you know, he was uncomfortable. He was restless. He didn't like being, confined like that. So I took Bruno out and I put Rudolph at my feet. Now, mind you, he's like a little, he would be considered standard size. I put Rudolph in the bottom of that sleeping bag and I went to sleep. He was so, well, that's always been your dog. That has always been your dog. You named him. You used to sing him to sleep. He listened to your commands before anybody else's. And every time we would go to Carolina, whenever Rudolph would see me, he would almost knock me down. He would run and jump in my arms with so much force. I miss that little booger. I do. Yeah, I thought about when I was telling you about cold water. I thought about how we named Rudolph and what his name should have been little pink paws. He had little pink paws and a little pink nose. That's why his name was Rudolph. Because him had a pink nose. But let me tell you about the reason we named him Petey is because as soon as there is Landy Pete Hodges Jr. And we couldn't call him Little Pete. He stayed up under my granddaddy and would whine like something terrible whenever my granddaddy would leave to go to work. So granddad decided that I smile through this, y'all, because this normally would be a tearjerker. And all of our dogs, this is before the leash law. All of our dogs we could let out and call them after a certain amount of time and they would come back. Well, this particular day, we still had Rex. We had my poodle named Peaches. We had, we had Rex, we had Peaches, we had Rudolph, we had Petey. It seems like we had another dog. I think we had 5 dogs at the time, but I don't remember the name or which dog it was. We've had a lot. We've had so many, and they overlap. So we let the dogs out. They all went together whenever they would go out. And when we called them to come back in, Petey didn't come. So I rode the neighborhood to make sure that Petey had not been hurt because I felt like someone had taken Petey. And we really believe somebody took Petey because we never saw him again. Yeah. I wish I could. Hello, Dorothea. How are you? Dorothea, in case I didn't tell you, your daughter is amazing. She's amazing. I told you I'd be sneaking in on you. Amazing. So are you, but she reminds me of my daughter with me. So, and I know y'all hear me talk about. I constantly have said, will say, and always will say that my baby girl is the reason I am still here today. She is the reason, not only because she gives me the drive and she keeps me motivated, but y'all, in 2021, my worst year medically, I waited until October of 2021 to get that big C word. And I went through hospitalization in the beginning and quarantine at home. And the day after I was released from quarantine, everything on me shut down. I literally could not raise my head from the pillow. I felt exhausted. I didn't hurt, but I did not have the energy. I didn't have the wind or the oxygen. I didn't have the strength to even get up. My daughter bore the weight of all of me to make sure I got back and forth to the bathroom, to make sure I took my medication, to make sure I was bathed, to make sure I ate. Um, every 2 hours, she was sitting me up or turning me over. When it was finally time for her to go back to work, because I was like this for about a week. But when it was time for her to go back to work, she called my oldest daughter, gave her a rundown of everything that needed to be done. And she said, I know the bathing will be a task, but you at least have to wash her up while she's in bed. But if you can, get her to the shower, get her on that seat, make sure you use this towel and connect it here and connect it there so she's sitting up. I was bad off, y'all. I was not looking back. It's like, wow. Wow. Yeah. And I am so grateful for her. So, yes, Doretha, your daughter is amazing. Cherish her, treasure her. Okay? All right. So, don't forget that today is Taco Tuesday. Juan's channel information is in the description box below. If you ever need some music, beautiful music to just sit back and vibe to, you have an eclectic range of music on Audio Accessories, which is also listed in the description box. If you think I can tell stories, I can tell you somebody who can tell stories even better, and they're cute. And that's Lori of Lori Stories and Crochet. Um, don't forget Miss C's Cottage on Sundays and Wednesdays at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. If you want to be a part of the Boggy Creek Brigade, you still have time. I think it's February before they finally, I think it's the cutoff time before they take the blankets to Boggy Brigade. Before, well, recently, they are starting region. Definitely looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to that. And I think I'd be more willing, or because I crochet all the time, but I love making blankets, but I want to, um, I want to donate more if they're there, and because it's a lot closer, and I could convince my daughter to, hey, let's take a day trip, spend a couple of hours, and take that trip up there. And if we come back the same day, when we come back across Chesapeake Bay Bridge, we get our money back. It's $25 to go across that bridge, y'all. Yes. So I don't remember if you get all of it back or if you get a portion of it back. But even still, getting anything back from it because you come back the same day is a plus. I think they give you an 8-hour period or something like that. But yeah, I would definitely love to see that happen. But don't forget that And y'all know who we got out here in these YouTube streets. Oh, there is one that I encourage everybody to go visit her. I think she's absolutely amazing. I still don't know her real name, and that's Dee Dee and Lizzie, and she goes by Granny. Her name, her channel name is Naughty Autistic Granny. To watch with autism and ADHD like a couple of years ago. And so it was late in life for her that she was diagnosed. And her crochet journey and the realism behind, and a lot of that mistake that's been made, and where other people say, well, you can just do this. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. It sends my mind into a tizzy when I go back. Don't let me go back later on and see, oh my God, I skipped 2 years to the one. All of this come out. All of this down to there will come out. If I decide 20 rows from now that I don't like the way this looks, it's coming out. That's why sometimes y'all will see something and be like, oh my God, I love it. When I look at it later, it's not what I want, and it comes out. It does. It does. It does. But I love the storyline behind this, and I don't think I've been as I've been with this one, so I feel like this is supposed to happen. So that's why I'm so invested into this. If I were to walk into a thrift store right now and see this would not interest me at all. But to see what's coming next and to see how it plays out and to know the story. That's what I'm telling y'all. Go look up Baby Esther or Baby Esther as Betty Boop and read the story, listen to the story. Y'all, it's you'll see exactly, and then come back and watch this video again. Come back and watch this video again. And no, seriously. Go look that up and then come back and watch this video again. The whole video. And you'll see the story being played out right here. I listen to and I watch a lot of celebrity stories, and I don't. They impact me, yes, they do, but not like this one has. This one hit deep. I mean, I'm talking going deep into the background of the Holocaust, going deep into uh, Mississippi burning, Rosewood, um, Black Wall Street, going back to the biblical days, the crucifixion. It's not a rabbit hole to me because it has a beginning. And to me, a rabbit hole, and I'm one of those root type people. I go look up Baby Esther's story and then come back and watch. You would get a front row seat of how my mind works. You'll see it. You'll see it. But anyway, I love you guys. And I thank you all for being here. I really, really do. Uh, y'all make me extremely happy. Excuse me, but in all of that, please don't forget to be bold, be brave, be beautiful, and behave. Oh, excuse me. Remember, Kitty Lane told you. Remember, Kitty Lane loves you. So until we see each other again on these YouTube streets, peace out, everybody.